Good morning, all. This one's going to be for the adults and the kids, but it is going to be, it's going to do more benefit for the children. And I do mean that this one is for kids, and I'd say target age 3rd, 4th grade. I wish I could, kindergartners that would benefit from, but I'm afraid I'd be talking way too over their heads. And hopefully we can rely on some older students, say 6th, 7th, 8th grade, all the way up to high school, to maybe explain it. But the younger a kid is and watches this and understands it, I'd like to say the easier their years through school are going to be, which just isn't true, but it will explain a lot of things. And that is basically why it's all right to hate your teachers. Now, I'm going to dispense immediately, get the disclaimer out there. Not all teachers are like this, so shut the hell up. I know this teacher. I know, yeah, I had good teachers too. This doesn't apply to that 5%, and I'm being serious if you count it up, that 5% of teachers. But this is to explain to you kids, and perhaps those of you who are like me, 80% of you I estimate, that hated school, thought school was boring, right? So here it is. School should not be boring, and it should be educational at the same time. Education should be interesting unto itself, but most people, most kids back in my day, and today I presume, are bored. And now, it's late August. You poor kids, it's the summer days are coming to an end, and you are hating the fact you got to go back. You are not living in fear, but you really don't want to go back because this feels like going back to a prison, and it is. And the reason why is simply this: your teachers are not there for you. Okay, the biggest, if you want to look up a word, canard, or the biggest lie, let's just say, is that somehow teachers are they're perfect. They're not questionable. Kids are told that their teachers are in one way or another superior to them, that the teachers are wiser, that the teachers are infallible. That's another, that you can't, if someone gets in trouble, your parents are usually going to believe the teachers. Now, trouble is one thing, because you probably did get in trouble, so let's not lie about that. But that when you're a kid and you're bored out of your mind, and your teacher's just blah, 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 and not saying anything, and you can't pay attention, that's not your fault. That's your teacher's fault. And the reason why is that most teachers, most of them, not all of them, most of them, are some of the dumbest people on the face of the planet. Right? If you don't believe me, look up the average IQ of different people by what they major in, and you're going to see that education majors come out at the bottom. Right? And beyond that, what you kids have to realize is, as I said before, your teachers aren't there to educate you. They're there for themselves. And the way I know this, the way this is true, again, I'm trying to explain it to a kid, is think about how hard it is to study. You go off to college, you got to declare, you got to pick a particular subject you're going to study. Education is one of the easiest majors to choose. And people choose education, they choose to become teachers, not because they really care about you precious little kids. They don't. They want to pick something very easy. And I know this for a fact because back when I was in college and high school, a little bit older than you are now, the people who chose education majors were dumb. They just didn't like math. I want to go major in education. And they would always cite that they wanted 3 months a year off. So they did, they liked the idea that they worked part-time. They'll always say, well, I want to change lives and help the children. But what it boiled down to is they didn't want to try hard in life. They didn't want to go and study. So like how you like your video games? Well, education majors don't make those video games. They don't. That's engineers, electricians, metallurgists, people who study harder, infinitely harder subjects than education. So most of your teachers are in school teaching you, not because they care about you, not because they have compassion for you, not because they really care about the education, but because they're in it for themselves. And it shows. I taught in school. I substitute taught and taught in college. My students were completely engaged. They were never bored. And I taught economics, and that's a pretty boring subject. The reason why my students were engaged is because I'm not an idiot. I'm not a moron. And I made darn sure to make sure that the topic was interesting to my students. Because what happens, and tell me if this happens, you go to school, you're bored, you're on the bus, you're barely awake, you get to class, and then whatever class it is, that first teacher immediately loses your interest. You want to do nothing but go home and go to sleep, maybe watch some video, do something that stimulates your mind. And then once your teacher, first teacher in first hour loses you, the rest of the day is wasted because you're barely paying attention, because they don't make it interesting. They really don't. Now, some do. I'm sure you have your favorite teachers. I guarantee you those favorite teachers are not necessarily the nice ones, though they probably are, but the ones that keep things interesting for you, and you learn the most from them. But I'd like to say that, if you're in the third grade or you're about to go into the third grade or the fourth grade, you're like, gosh, I hope the rest of school isn't like it. It is, because of this low quality of people that become teachers. Now, where you really have the right to hate your teachers, and a lot of you shouldn't just shut up. Shut up, you've had your freaking day. Is the hypocrisy. If you don't know what that word is, look that up too. But on the other end, I'm going to kind of tell you about boring adult stuff. These teachers make money, and that money's got to come from somewhere. It comes from people like me who pay property taxes, okay? So your parents, they pay taxes that could have gone to buy you a lot of toys. You could have gone to Disney World. You could have gone someplace. Easy. If your parents have a house, they could easily afford to take you to Disney World every year if they didn't have to pay those property taxes. But what these teachers do, and through their it's an organization they belong to called the labor union, is they go out every year and ask for more and more of your parents' money to pay them more and more and to hire more and more people. Well, let's say you've been in school for 5 years, I guarantee you the amount of spending per student has gone up. Have you seen an increase in the quality of the education? Has your education improved? Are you enjoying school more? Are you learning more things? Chances are you're not. And this is why most teachers are truly despicable, disgusting human beings, is they are using you kids. You kids are kids. You're innocent. None of you have committed murder. You just want to go play your video games, go to recess. You want to go have fun. You want to play with some frogs. You want to pull Susie Jenkins' hair. Whatever. You're being kids. But since you're kids, you're very innocent, and you're used by different political forces, namely your teachers and the teachers union, so that they can go and demand more money. Because basically, they hold you hostage. They say, we have your kids. Your kids are so valuable. They're the future. You've ever heard this before? The children are our future. And then they parade you out. They say, if you don't give us more money, these kids are going to get a good education. Well, you never were getting a good education. It's all a money-making racket for the teachers to steal money from your parents. Money that could go to help you. Money that could go for better food, maybe some better clothes. All right? Now your parents have got to work more. Would you like to spend more time with your parents? Well, it's too bad. They got to go work more to pay more in taxes. Doesn't even matter if they send you to a private school. These days, still got to pay the taxes for the public. Never mind. I'm sorry. Don't worry about that. In any case, the larger point is that there's nothing wrong with you if you don't like school. There's nothing wrong with you if you don't like your teachers. I'll go so far as there's nothing wrong with you if you hate your teachers, because most teachers are hypocrites. That's a very good word for you to look up, okay? Most of your teachers are not smart. They really don't care about your education. They really don't care about you. They want an easy job, which is teaching. And the quality of most teachers' education shows it's boring, right? So, does this mean you don't respect your teachers and you misbehave and you tell them that they're idiots to their face? No, you don't, because this is not going to be solved in your lifetime. You're going to have to go through school like everyone else. You're going to have to go all the way up to senior in high school. And it's going to suck. I don't know how else to tell you. Yeah, it's really going to suck. So, but hopefully what this does is it explains to you, me being an adult, explain to you kids that there's nothing wrong with you. You didn't do anything wrong. If you don't like, English or history or social studies or math, that's all right. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not a bad student. And if you get a C or a D or an F, you're probably like me. You'll think that you're dumb, and you're not. It's just that your teachers are so bad and so uninteresting and so unintelligent, they cannot take a subject and make it interesting, okay? So you should still try your best. You should still try and get straight A's. You should, okay? But if you're falling asleep in class and the teacher yells at you that you're not paying attention, don't take it personally. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just a normal human being that's stuck in a prison. That's all. So study hard, okay? Don't disrespect your teachers. You obey what your teachers say. But if they start yelling at you, you get poor grades or whatever, that ain't necessarily your fault. Right? So maybe have your mom and your dad help you with homework. If you got bad grades, you can't get bad grades. You got to go. You're just going to have to put in extra time. You're going to have to go and have mom and dad explain to you. Maybe an older brother or sister who are a little bit smarter maybe than you, or not smarter, but older, and they've done it before. Maybe they could explain things to you a little bit better so you don't get C's, D's, and F's. But try your best to get A's and B's. But don't take any personal shame if you're falling asleep in class, because most teachers are that boring. All right, toodles.